Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the hot topic of some of the top 10 most popular stocks right now. And this was actually a list recently released by Webull. I got it from my Webull notifications and checked it out, and I did notice that this list had some pretty interesting stocks in it. There's a lot of them that I'm not familiar with, and then there is a few of them that I am familiar with, including one stock that is actually within my portfolio holdings. So I always think it's pretty cool to look at these lists and just see what people are discussing and what people are buying currently. So this is going to be me addressing and talking about the stocks within the top 10 list by Webull for this most recent date. I believe Webull said this list was compiled on June 14th, so it is very recent. It's not outdated or anything like this. So this is basically a list of some of the hottest stocks right now that people are looking at. And if you enjoy these types of videos where I talk about my top stocks and top stocks by certain brokerages like with Robinhood and Webull, and if you just enjoy content like that, then please make sure to smash the like button. It really does help me out if you just take a few seconds to drop a like on the video. But like I said, this is a list by Webull, so there could be a slight difference between what Robinhood investors are looking at and what Webull investors are looking at. So this list doesn't necessarily apply to the Robinhood demographic, but I think it's still kind of applicable because I can definitely see some of the stocks on this list being consistent throughout many brokerage platforms. And also, if you are interested in creating an account on Webull, I would definitely recommend at least checking it out. I'll leave my referral link in the description to Webull, and if you want to check it out and make an account, then it'll give you a free stock. And in addition, if you deposit $100 into your account, it'll give you another free stock, and you can always withdraw that $100. That's exactly what I did when I first signed up. So it's basically just free money if you sign up, and it also helps support the channel as well. So I'm going to start off this list from least popular to most popular. So starting at number 10 and then ending the video at the number 1 stock. And keep in mind, many of these stocks within this list I'm not really familiar with whatsoever. There are some of them that I have some knowledge on, but a lot of these are kind of unheard of stocks, or at least those type of stocks that I don't really come across commonly. So with that being said, we'll start off with the number 10 most popular stock on Webull, which is ticker symbol ECOR, or ECOR, which stands for Electrocore. So you could technically call this one a penny stock because it's less than $5. And a lot of its value actually came just within like the past few days. On July 10th, it went from 85 cents to like $2.36 at its peak. So that is like a 195% increase just within the past 3 months. Definitely crazy, but I feel like this is one of those stocks that is probably not a long-term one, and most likely one of those that people are swing trading or buying a lot of shares before news. So just to give you the gist of what this stock and this company is all about, it states that Electrocore is a commercial stage medical device company which engages in the provision of non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation therapy. So this actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the idea behind Neuralink. It kind of sounds a little bit similar to Elon Musk's Neuralink company, where they put like a little device in the back of your head in your brain, and it can actually help people overcome the after effects of when they have a stroke. And even Elon Musk has stated previously that with Neuralink, it could even help with quadriplegics, to where he stated that it could actually help them walk again. So I don't know if this is exactly similar, but at least it kind of sounds in that same genre as you can see here. I wouldn't really emphasize this company and Neuralink as like the equivalents. I'd say this is a lot different. Like I said, I'm not familiar with a lot of these companies, but it just emphasizes that it's medical therapy that modulates neurotransmitters and immune function through its effects on both peripheral and central nervous systems. So this is definitely one that I would probably have to research first before I would mention anything significant about it, but it is interesting just to see what people are buying. This is number 10 out of 10 of the most discussed stock for the past week, so I think this is pretty interesting at least to look at. And like I said, don't make the automatic assumption that this is the equivalent of Neuralink, because it's most likely not. This is probably focused on a much more niche type of thing, where it's like a medical device that could help a certain problem rather than solving many different problems like Neuralink may in the future. But I definitely think it's at least interesting to check this out and see something that I wasn't familiar of before this video. So next up, we have number 9 out of 10, which is Spartan Energy Acquisition. And I'm actually a little bit familiar on this one, so I can give you all a little bit of info, but just to run through the About section, it states that this is a special purpose acquisition company, and we've seen these acquisition companies pop up on Robinhood a lot recently. Like, for example, before Nikola Motors actually turned into ticker symbol NKLA, it was a blank check acquisition company known as VTIQ, which was basically set up just to acquire the actual Nikola company and then transfer to that ticker symbol. I think somehow it makes it a lot easier for a new company to IPO rather than actually having to go the typical route. So I think it saves some sort of cost and a lot of effort when the company actually just merges with like a blank check company. So this is actually what this one is about as well. It's similar to Nikola. I believe that this is eventually going to be Fisker. So the main guy over at Fisker actually worked with Elon Musk once a long time ago with Tesla. So this is actually going to be an EV company. Fisker will be an electric vehicle company in the future. And if they successfully merge with this blank check company, that's what it's going to be. And that is why this stock has absolutely skyrocketed just within the past few days. We know that there's a lot of EV hype right now, especially seeing the crazy growth with Tesla. People are jumping on a lot of these blank check acquisition companies that are eventually supposed to turn into EV companies. So for example, like I said, you have Nikola. You also have Tortoise Acquisition, which I think is eventually going to be Hyliion. That's actually one of the very few vehicle companies that are on the horizon right now that I think are at least worth maybe entertaining the thought of, you know, putting a tiny bit of money into. I think Hyliion has a lot bigger chance than many of these other ones out here. And like I said, with this one, it's supposed to be Fisker, which is another EV company. Honestly, my personal perspective on this, for a lot of the people chasing quick gains, I think it's much more worthwhile. Even if you don't have the full $1,500 for a Tesla stock, I think it would be much more worthwhile to just invest with fractional shares on Tesla rather than some of these very risky startup companies that could go anywhere within a year. And I feel the same thing about this one with Fisker as well. In my personal opinion, I think my money would just be better put into Tesla in a fractional share if I didn't have the full amount, rather than investing in something like this that is just pretty much a startup and has a lot of hurdles to overcome in the future. So with that being said, we'll start on number 7 out of 10, which is Vaxart. So I'm not familiar with this one whatsoever, so we'll go ahead and read the description. So as you can see, it states Vaxart operates a clinical stage biotechnology company which engages in the development of oral recombinant vaccines. Its products include influenza, norovirus, and respiratory syncytial virus. So basically, this is another biotech company, and it's seen a lot of movements recently. There has to be some sort of relation with this to coronavirus or something like that. Or they might have just come out with some other new medical technology or breakthrough that caused such a spike to happen on this stock after June 24th. So as you can see, it's been growing pretty much since then, and it's at $14. It went from $2.62 to where it's at right now, which is $14.41. Unfortunately, there's no news on Robinhood right now. So like I said, I'm completely unfamiliar with this one, but to be completely honest, I've always been one of these people that avoids investing in biotech companies because a lot of their stock movements rely on breakthroughs that they make, and it's really hard to have a lot of faith to invest in one biotech company and have that faith to see in the future and believe that they will have these breakthroughs that will cause the stock price to increase. So I think biotech companies are pretty risky in my opinion, and keep in mind, anything that I say in these videos is not to be considered financial advice. It is simply me just sharing my thoughts and opinions. So personally, I usually try to avoid biotech companies. If I were to invest in one biotech company in the future, it would be Elon Musk's Neuralink, and that's just because I have a lot of faith in Elon Musk, and I think the whole idea behind Neuralink is absolutely genius. It's really innovative. So that's my thoughts about biotech companies. Next up, we have Ideanomics. So it seems like the trend here is a lot of people are interested in these penny stocks, low value stocks that you can buy a lot of. And it states that Ideanomics provides cloud-based software and services. It engages in the provision of business consulting services related to traditional financings, as well as developing digital asset securitization services through artificial intelligence and blockchain-enabled financial service platforms. So that was definitely a mouthful, but I have to admit, this did catch my interest a little bit right here because, for one thing, I like the AI stuff. I think the future is going to involve a lot of AI, especially with Tesla and the full self-driving technology. And then I also like the idea of cloud-based software and securitization. For one thing, everyone in America, at least most people, care about security. That's one of the main reasons why we love Apple. And for another thing, with the whole Rona situation right now, a lot of these cloud-based stocks like Microsoft and Amazon AWS, that goes along with Amazon stock, and many of these companies that have that asset of cloud-based based services, it seems like they have much more of an advantage in the stock market right now, where people are working at home, they're utilizing cloud services much more, and it's kind of one of those stocks that you can buy in the case of if there is another lockdown or if people have to stay at home, because that's where these stocks perform well. So I do think that this is interesting, but before I would give an opinion on whether I would purchase it or not, I would have to research it much more. But that's just my general thoughts about it, just from reading the description and everything. And keep in mind, much more goes into purchasing a stock than just reading the description and looking at the charts and saying, okay, this is good, or okay, this is bad. So I'd have to do a lot more research into this one. And when I see these lower value stocks, it always makes me question, why hasn't this gone up already? Even though the description looks nice and all of that, there may be a reason why it's so low right now still. I think that people would have caught on already. So it's definitely something that I would have to look into more. But next up, we have Workhorse. And this is one I'm actually a little bit familiar with. I don't know a lot about it, but I have heard people talking about it lately. So just in the past 3 months, this stock has gone from like $2 to $16. So a 700% gain just in the past 3 months. That's absolutely crazy. And it states that Workhorse engages in designing and build performance battery electric vehicles and aircraft. It develops cloud-based real-time telematics performance monitoring systems. The firm operates in 2 divisions, automotive and aviation. So automotive includes Class 3/6 commercial-grade medium-duty truck chassis marketed under the Workhorse brand, and then the aviation division offers delivery drones and SureFly multicopter. So I have to admit, with this description, it's definitely a little bit more exciting than some of the other companies that we've mentioned so far. I like the idea of battery electric vehicles and especially aircraft. That's something many other companies aren't doing right now. Even Tesla isn't working on battery electric aircraft that we know of. Yes, Elon Musk has mentioned it previously, but it's not something that they've straight up said that they're working on. And I do like that the performance monitoring systems are cloud-based, and the idea of delivery drones is also very interesting. So to be honest, Workhorse is pretty interesting for me. It definitely seems like one of those speculative stocks, but if I was just looking for some stocks to gamble with where I didn't really care if I lost my money or not, then this could definitely be an option. But so far, as you all know right now, my 3 main stocks that I just invest in are Tesla, Microsoft, and Apple. So I'm really only focused on those main 3 because I know that I can hold them long term and expect some pretty solid gains out of them. So I'm kind of less on the speculative end, but if I did have some money I just wanted to mess around with, then Workhorse could be an option. Next up, we have Weeme Hologram Cloud, and this one states that it offers augmented reality based holographic services and products, and it operates through the segments augmented reality advertising services and augmented reality entertainment. So there is some potential revenue sources with augmented reality advertising, so that's definitely interesting, and you don't really see a lot of people talking about that sector right now. And with augmented reality entertainment, that's something that could be huge in the future as well, especially if Neuralink becomes a thing. You would really have a lot of options to play with, but I think that would be like more 20 to 40 years in the future with things like that. I know that Elon Musk has talked about augmented reality in the past, but you really don't see a lot of companies out here that are focused on augmented reality. So if you are looking for a niche type of stock, then this is definitely one that's at least interesting to look at, because it's the only augmented reality stock that I know of in the stock market right now. But that's not to say that this is a stock that someone should buy. I'm just saying that it's interesting to look at and at least check out for yourself. Next up, we have PSV, which is Hermitage Offshore Services, and it states that this engages in the provision of offshore support vessels. Its fleets include the NAO Fighter, NAO Prosper, NAO Power, Thunder, Guardian, Protector, Viking, Storm, Galaxy, and Horizon. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. When it comes to stuff like offshore vessels and oil tankers and stuff like that, I really don't mess with that stuff because it is very volatile sometimes. And I know some people out there are interested in stuff like this, but just for me personally, I've never been a big fan of the volatility. And especially if you look at the past 5 years, this is one of those that is really on a downturn. So like I said, I'm just not a person that likes to invest in these really volatile stocks. So this is just one of those that I'm not really interested in. And then next up, we have Genius Brands, which is number 3 out of 10. So it's pretty popular on Webull right now. And this is a company that is focused on developing, producing, marketing, and licensing branded entertainment for much younger audience members. And it also focuses on consumer products for media distribution and retail channels. So this is one of those that I saw a lot of people making plays on recently, especially when it hit June 3rd. It pretty much hit its peak right there, but a lot of people made a ton of money if they invested in this just a bit previously when it was like 30 cents per share, and it went all the way up to $7.71 per share. So that's like a 3,000% gain almost. So I know a lot of people played with this one. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of it personally, and especially if you look at the 5-year chart on this, this is just a general downturn trend, and this is definitely a stock that I'm not really interested in trading or anything like that, but that is number 3 out of 10. Next up, we have NIO. This is one of the few on this list that I am a tiny bit familiar with, and as it states, NIO is a holding company which engages in the design, manufacture, and sale of electric vehicles, driving innovations in the next generation technologies in connectivity, autonomous driving, and artificial intelligence. So like I've mentioned to you all before, I do love the companies that involve autonomy and AI and stuff like that. And then of course the electric vehicle companies are always interesting to see as well, because as many of us are always wondering, when is the competition going to happen for Tesla? So far we just haven't seen it. No other EV company out there has really been able to compete on the level of Tesla, unless we're talking about pretty much the Tesla clone known as Xpeng. They pretty much copied everything that Tesla's done so far, and that's the only way that I've seen anyone come close to what Tesla is doing. But NIO is definitely interesting, and like I've mentioned with maybe 1 or 2 of these stocks in this list so far, it could be one of those that if you're just looking for a really speculative stock that you could gamble some money on, that you're not really worried about losing or making money either way, then this could be one of those options. I feel like NIO has a lot more promise than many of the others on this list, but keep in mind that's not really saying much because a lot of these are like low quality penny stocks and stuff like that. But NIO is definitely interesting. It's seen a lot of growth this past year, and I do know it has a pretty solid market in China too. So to be honest, if someone were to force me to buy at least one of the stocks on this list that we've discussed so far, I would probably say NIO or Workhorse out of the ones we've discussed so far. But with this number 1 stock coming up, I would definitely say this one. So number 1 out of 10 is Tesla stock. And at least with this list, we have one that I own that I can actually talk about with personal experience. So as you can see so far, my average cost on Tesla was $839, which was arguably a really high price to pay at the time. A lot of people told me that, but I tried to emphasize that in the long term, $839 is something that a lot of investors will look back on and wish they were able to purchase more shares at that price. And so far, that's exactly what happened. This stock is up over 100% just in the past 3 months. And we've seen a lot of consistent growth lately. We've seen a little bit of volatility as well with this February dip, and then it kind of recovered after that. I really do wish I would have bought more at like the $364 price tag. I did buy one, but I sold it at $420. Definitely a big mistake, and I have not sold any Tesla stock since then. I thought I could short it, and I've learned my lesson, and I'll never try to do it again. But Tesla is by far the best company on this list in my opinion, and there's a reason, in addition to growth, that it is the number 1 stock on this list, and that's because they have a big plan for the future, and they've already had previous plans that they've accomplished. So for example, they started out by saying they would make a high value, low volume sports car, which was the Tesla Roadster. Then they did like a medium to high value but higher volume car, which was the Model S. And then thanks to those two, they executed on that plan to create the rest of the models as well, but they did it in a pattern that made it affordable for the next model. So that's why they've done it in that order. And then now they're working on the Cybertrucks, which arguably could be the best seller out of their whole product line so far. And if you would like to learn more about Tesla, I would definitely recommend you checking out my channel and just watching some of my videos on Tesla, because it would be a little bit repetitive for me to repeat this once again, because I make videos daily on Tesla, and I truly do believe in this stock in the long term. And I honestly think that within the next 10 years, this could be a stock that hits a $10,000 share price because of their plans for the future, because of what they're accomplishing right now. And really, if you do your homework and research on this company, it's a little bit obvious to see where they're going in the future. And keep in mind that they're not just an automotive company. They focus on energy solutions as well, such as solar panels that go on the roofs of your home. They have the Tesla Powerwall and other battery solutions. And they're actually focusing on other things such as large package energy solutions, where they'll set up a ton of Tesla batteries, almost as like a windmill system, but with batteries to power cities in certain areas. So this is much more than just an automotive company. And keep in mind that the full self-driving technology is a big factor in its current price as well. And if Tesla is able to dominate the full self-driving technology in the future and be that number 1 vehicle company to go to for full self-driving, then I think this could be a multi-$1,000 stock in just a few years and potentially a $10,000 stock in around 10 or more years. So in my opinion, Tesla is definitely the best stock on this list, but keep in mind, as I said earlier, anything that I say or have said already is not to be considered financial advice. This is simply me just sharing my thoughts and opinions about the market. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button. I really do appreciate it. And also maybe check out some of the other videos on my channel as well. Like I said, I focus on Tesla a lot, and I do daily portfolio updates as well, where I just give a transparency update talking about my gains and losses for each day. And it's kind of cool to see that progress over time if you're a viewer. As you can see, we've made around 52% in just a little over 7 months. As you can see, I started on December 2nd. So this has been a really fun journey so far. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out my referral links to Robinhood and Webull in the description below. If you'd like to sign up with those links, then you'll get some free stocks, which is always awesome. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.